Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're here today because you felt the weight of toxic people in your life, and you know exactly what it feels like to be consumed by negativity. The constant barrage of criticism, the belittling comments, the manipulative tactics, the energy-draining, emotionally exhausting cycle that leaves you questioning your worth and your sanity. You found yourself on the receiving end of their venomous words and toxic behavior, and somewhere deep inside, you know that you're stronger than this. You know that you were not meant to live under their shadow. You were not meant to let them dim your light or steal your peace. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to continue to let them control your emotions, your thoughts, your actions. You don't have to carry the burden of their toxic energy anymore. This is your moment to take a stand. This is your opportunity to shift the dynamics, to reclaim the power that's rightfully yours. And the first step toward that is simple, but incredibly powerful: taking back your power. You see, toxic people can't steal your power unless you allow them to. And I need you to understand that. Let that sink in. You might be thinking, but they've already taken so much from me. They've made me feel small, insignificant, unworthy. They've drained my energy to the point where I feel like I have nothing left to give. I hear you. I've been there too, and it's real, it's painful. You feel they've taken something from you that you can't ever get back. But the truth is, they haven't taken your power. You've given it away. You've handed it to them piece by piece, moment by moment, because you let their words, their actions, their negativity dictate how you feel. And once you realize this, the entire dynamic shifts. I know it's not easy, trust me, I do. But when you finally come to the realization that no one, no matter how toxic, no matter how manipulative, no matter how destructive, has the right to control how you feel, you become unstoppable. They can't steal your power unless you give it to them. So let's break this down. Let's get into the details. How do you take back your power? The first thing you need to do is detach emotionally. And I'm not talking about shutting down or becoming cold. No, I'm talking about refusing to let their behavior dictate how you feel. We've all been there. A toxic person starts with their usual negativity, the rude comments, the judgmental remarks, the manipulation. And what do? We get triggered. We react. We let them pull us into their storm. But I'm telling you, you don't have to. You don't have to get sucked into their vortex. You are in control of your own emotions. You decide how much power their words have over you. And when you make the conscious choice to detach emotionally, you immediately remove their ability to harm you. When they start with their toxic behaviors, you can recognize it for what it is, and instead of reacting, instead of engaging, you can simply observe. You can see them for what they are: a reflection of their own unresolved issues, their own toxicity. You don't need to take it personally. You don't need to internalize their negativity. Instead, let it roll off you like water off a duck's back. This is how you begin to reclaim your peace. This is how you begin to take back control of your emotional state. Now, let's be real. It's not always easy. It's not always simple. Sometimes these toxic people are people you care about. They're family members, co-workers, friends you've known for years. They know exactly how to press your buttons, to trigger your emotions, to make you feel weak or insecure. And that's when it gets even harder. But the truth is, the people who know how to push your buttons are the ones that will have access to your power. And that's why you have to take control. You need to stop giving them that power. Do not give them permission to influence your emotions. It doesn't matter if they're family or a close friend or a boss who holds your paycheck in their hands. If they are toxic, if they are manipulative, if they are draining your energy and making you feel less, then you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to detach. When you take back your power, you stop seeking validation from them. You stop needing their approval, their love, their respect. You don't rely on them to define your worth. Your worth is not up for debate. It doesn't come from their words or their opinions. It comes from within. And that's the key. When you realize this, when you internalize this truth, you begin to unlock the freedom that toxic people have been stealing from you for far too long. And here's the truth, my friends: toxic people will only have power over you for as long as you allow them to. The moment you stand firm, the moment you stop accepting their behavior, the moment you refuse to engage with their toxicity, their power over you starts to crumble. They might not like it. They might get angry. They might try to guilt trip you, manipulate you, or shame you for setting boundaries. But that's just a sign that you're doing something right. They don't want you to take your power back because they thrive on it. They thrive on your emotional reactions, on your need for their approval, on your dependence on their validation. But you're better than that. You are stronger than that. And I want you to remember something: you don't owe them your energy. You don't owe them your time. You don't owe them your peace. You don't owe them your happiness. And the moment you stop allowing them to rob you of these things is the moment you begin to live life on your own terms. You begin to reclaim your energy, you begin to reclaim your joy, and you begin to reclaim your power. So from this moment forward, I want you to think about how you can detach emotionally from the toxic people in your life. When they start their usual act, stop yourself from reacting. Take a deep breath, stay calm, and remind yourself that you are in control. You are not going to let them steal your peace today. You are not going to let their negativity affect you. You are going to stand strong and let their words bounce off you like a rubber ball. And that's when you start winning. That's when you start taking back your power. That's when you start living life on your own terms. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the strength to rise above. You have the power to break free. The toxic people in your life do not have the final say. You do. It's time to take back your power, to stop giving it away, and to never let anyone else have control over how you feel again. The second step to reclaiming your power from toxic people is setting boundaries. Now, I want you to hear me loud and clear. Boundaries are not just some nice concept to think about. They are your first line of defense. Boundaries are the foundation that allows you to protect your peace, your time, and your energy. And if you've ever wondered why you're drained, why you're exhausted, why you feel like a shell of yourself, I'll tell you exactly why. It's because you haven't set boundaries. Toxic people thrive when there are no boundaries. They walk into your life, they see no walls, they see no limits, and they take whatever they want. Your emotions, they take them. Your time, it's theirs. Your peace of mind, gone. They will continuously push you to your breaking point because they know you haven't established clear lines. But guess what? You have the right to draw those lines. You have the right to say no more. And when you begin to set boundaries, something extraordinary happens. You start to take back control. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if they get mad? What if they try to make me feel guilty for setting boundaries? Listen, that's the exact point. Toxic people don't want you to set boundaries. They want to control you. They want to manipulate you into thinking that if you don't bend over backward for them, you're a bad person. And they will use every trick in the book to make you feel that way. But here's the truth. It is not your job to manage their emotions. It is your job to protect your peace, to stand firm in your self-worth, and to set clear boundaries that allow you to thrive. Setting boundaries is not about being mean or cold. It's not about shutting people out or pushing them away. It's about respect for yourself and for others. When you set boundaries, you are saying, I value my time. I value my energy. I value my peace. And you are also giving others the opportunity to respect you. But here's the thing, boundaries aren't just about saying no to the toxic person. They're about saying yes to yourself. They're about honoring your own needs, your own well-being, and your own emotional health. You have every right to protect yourself. And when you set boundaries, you are demonstrating your worth. You are saying, I am important. My needs matter. My peace is not negotiable. Now I can already hear the objections. Some of you might be thinking, but they won't understand. They'll get upset. They'll criticize me. They'll try to make me feel selfish. Let me tell you something. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your boundaries. The people who truly have your best interest at heart won't get upset when you say, I need time for myself. They won't get angry when you say, I can't deal with your negativity today. In fact, they will appreciate your honesty. They will respect the fact that you are taking care of yourself. But the toxic people in your life, they will fight tooth and nail to break those boundaries down because they see you as a source of energy, a resource they can drain. They will push your buttons, test your resolve, and try to manipulate you into feeling guilty for taking care of yourself. But you have to be prepared. You have to know deep down that your boundaries are non-negotiable. Now, you may be wondering, how do I set these boundaries? How do I make sure I don't cave in? First, start by being crystal clear about what you will and will not tolerate. Get specific. If someone's behavior is draining you, get clear on exactly what they're doing and what you need to change. Maybe it's a family member who always demands your time, no matter how much you have going on. Maybe it's a colleague who consistently undermines you or takes credit for your work. Maybe it's a friend who constantly needs you to lift them up emotionally, but never offers the same support in return. Once you identify these toxic behaviors, you need to express your boundaries clearly and assertively. Don't beat around the bush. Don't apologize for having them. Don't minimize your needs. Say it like it is. I can't engage in this conversation when you're speaking to me like this. I need space to focus on my work. I cannot carry your emotional burdens for you right now. Be direct, be firm, and don't waver. But I'll be honest with you, some toxic people will not take kindly to your boundaries. They will push back. They will test you. They will try to make you feel bad for standing up for yourself. This is when you need to hold your ground. Do not let them guilt trip you. Do not let them make you feel selfish or unreasonable. Stand tall in your decision to respect yourself and to prioritize your peace. If they continue to push, here's the hard truth: you may have to distance yourself. You may have to sever ties with people who refuse to respect your boundaries, even if that means cutting tight ties with family, friends, or coworkers. This is one of the most difficult steps, but it's often necessary. Remember, you are not obligated to keep toxic people in your life, no matter who they are. You are not obligated to tolerate their disrespect, their manipulation, or their negativity. But before you go, I want you to understand something. Setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a strong person. It makes you someone who values themselves enough to not accept anything less than respect, kindness, and decency. And when you set boundaries, you're showing others that you are someone who will no longer tolerate being treated like less than you are worth. And here's the beautiful thing about boundaries. Once you set them, you'll be amazed at how much better you feel. You'll start to realize how much energy you've been wasting on people who didn't deserve it. You'll start to feel more confident, more in control of your life. And slowly but surely, you'll start to notice something incredible happening. Those toxic people will start to fade away. They won't be able to feed off you anymore because you've made it clear that you are not their emotional punching bag. But don't mistake this for weakness. Don't ever think that by setting boundaries, you're somehow giving up or giving in. On the contrary, you are taking control of your life. You are choosing to protect yourself, to defend your emotional health, to honor your worth. And that is one of the most powerful, life-changing things you can do. You owe it to yourself to set boundaries. You owe it to yourself to stand firm in your truth, even when others try to push you down. Because you are worth it. Your peace is worth it. Your energy is worth it. And you deserve to live a life free from the toxic influence of people who don't respect you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to let toxic people walk all over you? Are you going to continue to let them drain your life force? Or are you going to stand up, draw that line in the sand, and take back your power? The third sign, and perhaps one of the hardest truths you'll need to accept, is this: recognizing when it's time to cut ties. Now, before you start panicking, thinking I'm telling you to go around severing relationships left and right, hear me out. This is not an impulsive decision, it's a strategic one. It's about recognizing that some toxic people are not worth saving, and more importantly, some people will never change. Let me be brutally honest with you. Not every one of your life is meant to stay. There are some people who will drain you for as long as you let them. And no matter how much time, energy, or love you invest in them, they will never give you back what you need. They won't respect your boundaries. They won't support you in the way you deserve. They won't meet you halfway. They'll simply keep taking and taking until there's nothing left of you. I know that this is a difficult pill to swallow, especially when the toxic person is someone you've known for a long time, maybe even a family member, a close friend, or a colleague you've been with for years. You think, I can change them, I can fix this. If I just keep showing up, if I keep giving, if I keep trying, they'll eventually come around. They'll see the value in me, they'll see that I care. But here's the hard truth: you cannot change someone who doesn't want to change. You cannot fix someone who isn't interested in being fixed. You cannot pour your heart and soul into someone who is determined to keep pulling you down, no matter how hard you try to lift them up. And I know how hard it is to accept this. You feel like you owe it to them. You feel like you've invested so much, like you've been there for them through thick and thin, and cutting ties would mean you're giving up. But here's the reality. Cutting ties is not giving up. It's about recognizing when it's time to protect yourself, to preserve your own energy, and to stop sacrificing your peace for someone who refuses to change. This doesn't mean you have to be cold or cruel. It doesn't mean you have to cut someone out of your life forever in every circumstance. But it does mean you need to evaluate the relationship and decide if it's worth keeping. Is it giving you the support, respect, and love you need? Or is it draining you, leaving you feeling empty, angry, or hopeless? Ask yourself, does this person add value to my life, or do they only take? If the answer is the latter, then it's time to have a difficult conversation. It's time to recognize that you've done your part, you've tried to help, you've been patient, but the relationship is no longer serving you. It's time to walk away. Cutting ties with a toxic person isn't just about walking away physically, it's about walking away emotionally, mentally, and energetically. It's about removing them from the space you hold within you. It's about recognizing that you are no longer available to be manipulated, to be drained, to be pulled into their emotional chaos. And listen, I know that it can feel impossible to let go, especially if the toxic person has been in your life for years, or if there's someone you deeply care about. You may feel guilty. You may feel like you're abandoning them. You may feel like you're being selfish. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Setting boundaries, distancing yourself, and choosing to cut ties with someone who refuses to change is an act of self-preservation. And self-preservation is essential for your well-being. If you continue to pour your energy into someone who isn't giving back, you will run yourself dry. You will lose sight of who you are. You will lose your sense of self-worth. Let me be clear, you are not responsible for the happiness or well-being of others at the cost of your own. You are not obligated to keep sacrificing your peace for someone who refuses to meet you halfway. Cutting ties doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you value yourself enough to put your own mental, emotional, and physical well-being above everything else. But here's the hard part. It's going to feel painful. It's going to feel like you're losing a part of yourself. It's going to sting. You might second guess yourself. You might wonder if you're making the right decision. But I promise you, as hard as it is in the moment, you will thank yourself in the long run. Because the truth is, when you cut ties with toxic people, you free up space in your life for people who are worthy of your time, your love, and your energy. You create room for relationships that build you up, for friendships that support you, for people who respect your boundaries and value you for who you truly are. And it's not just about other people. Cutting ties is about you taking back control over your life. It's about choosing yourself. It's about saying, I'm done letting someone else determine how I feel. I'm done letting someone else control my emotional state. I'm done being dragged down by someone who doesn't care about my happiness. This is the moment when you step into your power. This is the moment when you take a stand for your own peace. This is the moment when you finally choose to let go of the toxic people in your life so you can grow, thrive, and become the best version of yourself. I want you to know this. You don't have to hold on to anyone who isn't lifting you up. You don't have to keep someone in your life just because they've always been there. You have the right to evolve. You have the right to outgrow people. And when you recognize that a relationship is no longer serving you, when you see that a person's toxicity is damaging your soul, it's not only okay to walk away, it is necessary. You owe it to yourself to let go of what no longer serves you. You owe it to yourself to stop carrying people who are holding you down. You owe it to yourself to make room for the good, the uplifting, the supportive people who will help you rise, not sink. So ask yourself today, am I willing to cut ties with the toxicity in my life? Am I ready to let go of the relationships that are draining me and making me feel small? Am I ready to choose my peace, my happiness, and my well-being over the comfort of holding on to a relationship that no longer serves me? When you make the decision to cut ties, you are not giving up on anyone. You are giving yourself the gift of freedom. You are giving yourself the opportunity to thrive, to heal, and to grow. And once you do, you'll be amazed at the peace that floods into your life. You'll be amazed at the weight that is lifted off your shoulders. You'll be amazed at how much more energy you have for the things and people that truly matter. The fourth sign, and one that will bring you immense power, is learning how to stop taking things personally. I know this may sound easier said than done, but this is one of the most critical steps in dealing with toxic people. They thrive on your reactions, they feed off your emotions, and they derive power from making you feel small, hurt, or inadequate. But here's the secret: you do not have to let them win. When you stop taking things personally, you regain control over your emotions, and you stop letting others dictate how you feel. Toxic people will say things to provoke you. They will insult you, belittle you, and try to tear you down with their words and actions. But here's the key to unlocking your inner strength. Whatever they say about you, whatever they do to you, is more about them than it is about you. Toxic people often have unresolved issues within themselves. They may be projecting their own insecurities, fears, and anger onto you. They may try to manipulate you with guilt, shame, or blame, but if you allow yourself to take those things personally, you are giving them exactly what they want: control over your emotions. And that is a gift you should never give away. So how do you stop taking things personally? First, you have to remind yourself that toxic people's behavior is not a reflection of who you are, it's a reflection of them. They may lash out because they are miserable, they may insult you because they are insecure, or they may criticize you because they can't stand seeing you succeed. Their actions have nothing to do with your worth, your value, or your abilities. You are not the problem, they are. When you internalize this truth, something incredible happens. You stop allowing their words to hurt you. You stop letting their negativity penetrate your soul. You stop believing that their cruelty is a direct attack on your character. And that is when you gain back your power. That is when you truly take control of the situation. Now, I know it's easy to say don't take it personally, but when you're in the heat of the moment, when you're facing a toxic person who is screaming, belittling, or undermining you, it's hard not to react. It's hard not to feel that sting in your chest, that sense of humiliation, or that deep feeling of hurt. But here's where you have to be strategic. You don't have to react. You don't have to let your emotions take over. You don't have to allow the toxic person to have that much power over you. Instead, practice detachment. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're cold or indifferent. It means you refuse to let their words and actions dictate your emotional state. When you feel yourself starting to take it personally, take a step back. Take a deep breath. And remind yourself, this isn't about me. This is about them and what they're going through. The beauty of detachment is that it's not about ignoring the toxic behavior, it's about choosing not to engage with it. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to explain yourself. Their behavior speaks volumes about who they are, not about who you are. And listen, I get it, this is not always easy. If you've been around toxic people for a long time, and it's easy to slip into the habit of internalizing their negativity, of believing the things they say about you. But you have to retrain yourself to recognize that their opinions do not define you. Their insults do not diminish your worth. Their criticism doesn't determine your capabilities. The only opinion that matters is your own. And here's the hard-hitting truth. You are the only one who can allow yourself to be hurt. No one can hurt you unless you let them. Toxic people may try to provoke you. They may try to manipulate you into feeling bad about yourself, but the truth is, you are the gatekeeper of your own emotions. You get to decide how much weight you give to their words and actions. So when they try to cut you down, when they criticize you, when they make you feel less than, remind yourself, this is their issue, not mine. If they call you lazy, insecure, or not good enough, remember that those are their insecurities speaking, not yours. If they belittle your efforts or your success, understand that it's their fear and jealousy at play, not a reflection of your capabilities. When you stop taking things personally, you stop giving away your power. You stop letting toxic people control your emotional state. You stop giving them the satisfaction of seeing you upset, hurt, or angry, and that, my friends, is one of the most powerful ways to take back control of your life. Now, this doesn't mean you have to tolerate their behavior, and it doesn't mean you have to stay silent while they are disrespecting you. But it does mean you can respond from a place of strength rather than a place of reaction. You can calmly set your boundaries, you can assert your needs, and you can walk away from situations that are unhealthy, all while maintaining your inner peace. Remember, their words are just noise. Their insults are just empty attempts to manipulate your emotions. And when you refuse to take it personally, you no longer give them the power to control how you feel. You become the master of your emotional state. You choose how to react, and most importantly, you choose not to react at all. The more you practice this, the stronger you become. The more you detach from their toxicity, the more you align yourself with your own inner peace. The more you remind yourself that their negativity has nothing to do with you, the less it will affect you. Eventually, you'll reach a point where their behavior no longer bothers you, where you can smile, stay calm, and walk away without a single ounce of emotional investment. The fifth sign, and one that will truly transform the way you navigate toxic relationships, is trusting your intuition. Let me say that again, trust your gut. Your intuition is one of the most powerful tools you have in your arsenal when it comes to identifying toxic people and managing their impact on your life. But too often we ignore it. We second guess it. We override it with logic, reason, and the hope that things will get better. But here's the truth. Your gut knows the truth long before your mind does. Toxic people have a way of slipping through the cracks, of camouflaging the true nature behind charm, charisma, or manipulation. They'll tell you what you want to hear. They'll pretend to be your friend. They'll act like they have your best interests at heart. But something deep down inside of you knows it's not right. Something inside you says, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel real. This doesn't feel safe. That is your intuition talking to you. And guess what? Your intuition is always right. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't mislead you. It speaks to you in the form of a gut feeling, a sense of discomfort, a warning that something isn't quite right. And when it comes to toxic people, you need to learn to listen to that voice. Here's where many of us go wrong. We dismiss that inner voice. We try to rationalize it away. We tell ourselves, I'm being paranoid. I'm overthinking things. I'm just being dramatic. But if your gut is telling you that someone is toxic, whether it's their behavior, their energy, or the way they make you feel, pay attention to it. That gut feeling is your inner wisdom trying to protect you from being hurt, drained, or manipulated. It's easy to get caught up in what people say and do, especially when they're being charming, persuasive, or even outright flattering. But toxic people are masters at manipulation, and they know exactly how to make you doubt yourself. They know how to twist your reality, how to gaslight you, and how to make you question your own perceptions. And that's why you have to rely on something far more powerful than words or actions, your intuition. When you feel something isn't right, don't dismiss it. Don't ignore the red flags just because the person is saying all the right things or giving you just enough attention to keep you hooked. Trust that inner alarm bell that's going off inside of you. That feeling of unease is trying to protect you from the emotional or psychological damage that toxic people can inflict. But here's the hard part. Trusting your intuition means you have to be willing to walk away from people who no longer serve you, no matter how close they are to you, no matter how long you've known them. Trusting your intuition means acknowledging that your well-being is more important than holding on to someone who is only causing you harm. And I know how challenging that can be. Some of these toxic people may be deeply ingrained in your life. They may be family members, longtime friends, or even colleagues you've known for years. It's hard to trust that feeling when your mind is telling you to give them the benefit of the doubt, to overlook the warning signs, or to believe that they'll change. But let me ask you, how many times have you been hurt by ignoring your intuition? How many times have you let someone into your life only to regret it later? The truth is, your intuition is your protection. It's your inner guardian that is trying to shield you from the damage that toxic people can cause. When you start listening to it, you start making decisions that are in alignment with your highest good. And when you trust your intuition, you start saying no to the people, situations, and energy that are toxic to you. But trusting your intuition isn't just about avoiding bad situations. It's also about following your inner guidance to make decisions that will help you thrive. Your intuition will guide you toward the people and experiences that will uplift you. It will tell you when to stand up for yourself, when to speak up, when to set a boundary, and when to walk away from a toxic relationship. Your intuition will be the compass that helps you navigate the difficult terrain of toxic people. Now, I know that trusting your intuition can be a bit of a challenge at first. We live in a world that often encourages us to rely on logic and reason above all else. We are taught to doubt our instincts, to question our feelings, and to value the opinions of others above our own. But here's what you need to understand. Your intuition is more reliable than any external opinion. It is the voice of your higher self, and it knows what's best for you. When you start to listen to it, you'll notice a profound shift in your relationships and your overall sense of peace. You'll start to feel more aligned with your true self. You'll start to recognize toxic behavior more quickly, and you'll start to make decisions that honor your boundaries and your self-worth. Trusting your intuition doesn't mean you'll always have all the answers. It doesn't mean you'll always get it right. But it does mean you'll be making decisions from a place of self-awareness, self-respect, and emotional intelligence. You'll be making decisions based on what is truly right for you, not on what you think others want or expect from you. And here's the best part. When you trust your intuition, you will be surrounded by people who respect you. You will attract people who are aligned with your values, who support you, and who are good for your mental and emotional health. You'll start to recognize toxic people before they even have a chance to affect your life. You'll begin to create an environment where you are surrounded by positivity, growth, and peace. So the next time you feel that gut feeling when something doesn't sit right, when a relationship feels off, or when someone's energy starts draining you, listen to it. Trust it, honor it, and make the decision to protect yourself from people who don't deserve your time, energy, or love. When you trust your intuition, you become unstoppable. You take control of your life. You create the space for healthy, nurturing relationships to flourish, and you let go of the toxic ones that no longer have a place in your journey. Trust yourself. You have everything you need inside of you to navigate the complexities of toxic people. Trust your instincts, then your life will be transformed. The sixth sign is about setting and maintaining clear boundaries, and let me tell you, this is an absolute game changer when it comes to dealing with toxic people. Boundaries are not just a luxury, they are a necessity. And when it comes to toxic individuals, boundaries are your first line of defense. Toxic people love to push limits. They will test your patience, your generosity, your time, your energy, and most importantly, your kindness. They will try to manipulate you into giving more than you're willing to give. They will guilt trip you into staying in situations that drain you. They will push and push and push until you finally break, or until you sacrifice your own well-being for theirs. And here's the kicker. If you don't set boundaries, they'll take and take until you have nothing left. But here's the reality. You don't owe anyone access to your energy or your peace. You don't have to tolerate disrespect or abuse, no matter how subtle or overt it may be. You are in control of your life, and that means you are also in control of who gets to be a part of it. You have the right to say no. You have the right to say I'm done. You have the right to protect yourself. Boundaries are not about being rude. They're not about pushing people away. They are protecting yourself and ensuring that the people you allow into your life respect your space, your time, and your emotional energy. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. They are a declaration that you value your peace, your mental health, and your well-being enough to stand firm against anyone who tries to take it from you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You might be saying, but if I set boundaries, won't that make people mad? Won't they think I'm selfish or harsh? Here's the truth. Setting boundaries will absolutely make some people uncomfortable, especially toxic people. Why? Because they thrive on taking advantage of others. They want access to your time, your energy, and your emotions without limits or consequences. When you set boundaries, you stop being a source of supply for their needs, and they don't like it. But that's not your problem. Let me repeat that for emphasis. That's not your problem. When you set a boundary, you are giving a clear message that you are no longer available for mistreatment. You are standing up for your values. You are saying, I will not tolerate being treated in a way that diminishes my worth or my peace. Anyone who truly cares about you, anyone who truly respects you, will understand your boundaries. They won't try to cross them or manipulate you into doing something you're not comfortable with. In fact, they will admire you for your strength and clarity. Here's what I want you to understand about boundaries. They're not just about saying no. They're also about saying yes to yourself. When you say no to toxic people, you're saying yes to your own well-being. When you say no to their manipulative behavior, you're saying yes to healthy relationships that honor your limits and your needs. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about allowing the right people in and creating space for positive, supportive relationships that fuel you rather than drain you. Setting boundaries is a skill. It requires practice, especially if you've been conditioned to be a people pleaser or if you've been taught to always put others' needs before your own. But here's what I need you to know. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you keep sacrificing your own needs to appease others, you will eventually burn out. You will lose yourself in the process, and toxic people will keep taking from you until there's nothing left. So how do you set boundaries with toxic people? First, it starts with identifying your limits. What are the things you absolutely will not tolerate? What are the behaviors that make you feel unsafe, drained, or disrespected? These are the things you need to draw a hard line around. Maybe it's the constant criticism. Maybe it's the emotional manipulation. Maybe it's the disrespectful behavior or the way they ignore your needs. Once you know what those boundaries are, you have to enforce them. And let me be clear, enforcing boundaries is not optional. It's a must. When you set a boundary and someone tries to push it, you must stand firm. Don't give in. Don't justify yourself. Don't apologize. Your boundaries are non-negotiable. Toxic people will try to make you feel guilty for having boundaries, but that's just a tactic they use to keep you in their control. For example, if a toxic person starts disrespecting your time, calling you at all hours of the night, or making demands without consideration for your needs, don't accept it. Politely but firmly say, I cannot take calls at this hour, or I need you to respect my time. If they continue to disregard your boundary, follow through with the consequence. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to raise your voice. Just be clear and consistent. For example, if you continue to call me at this hour, I won't be able to pick up the phone. If they test you again, stick to your word. You can also set boundaries around emotional manipulation. If a toxic person tries to guilt trip you into doing something that doesn't align with your values or doesn't serve your well-being, say no. You don't need to explain or justify yourself. Simply say, I'm not available for that, or that's not something I can do right now. Their reaction is not your responsibility. It's your responsibility to protect your own peace. The more you practice setting and enforcing boundaries, the easier it will become. And soon, you'll realize something incredibly freeing. You are in control of your life. You are not beholden to toxic people or their manipulative behaviors. You are free to walk away from situations that drain you, and you are free to create the space for people who honor and respect your boundaries. Remember, boundaries are not walls. They're fences that keep out the bad and invite in the good. They protect you from harm, but they also allow for deeper, more meaningful connections with people who will respect you for who you are. The seventh and final sign, which is truly the cornerstone of taking control of your life in the face of toxicity, is choosing to let go. And I know it can feel impossible. It can feel like there's no way to walk away from someone who has been in your life for a long time. You might feel like you're stuck, like you're trapped in a cycle of negativity and drama that you just can't escape. But let me tell you this, you are not stuck. You have the power to walk away from toxic people. And it's one of the most empowering choices you can make in your life. You don't owe anyone a place in your life if they're bringing you down, draining your energy, or constantly making you feel less than. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to make the choice to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you, no matter how painful or difficult it may seem. Here's the truth that many people never realize: your peace is priceless. Your mental health, your happiness, and your well-being should never be sacrificed for anyone, especially not for someone who is toxic and doesn't respect you. You don't have to tolerate abuse. You don't have to tolerate manipulation. You don't have to tolerate people who treat you poorly or drain you emotionally. And I know letting go is hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, especially if the person has been a part of your life for years. But sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to let them go. Sometimes, the most powerful choice you can make is to create space between you and someone who doesn't contribute to your growth, who doesn't uplift you and doesn't respect your boundaries. You see, toxic people keep you trapped in a cycle of drama, manipulation, and emotional turmoil. They feed off your energy and make you feel responsible for their happiness or their problems. They play on your guilt, on your empathy, on your compassion. But you are not responsible for their happiness. You are only responsible for your own. And you cannot pour from an empty cup. Letting go doesn't mean you're abandoning them. It doesn't mean you're being heartless. It means you are choosing yourself. It means you are making the decision to surround yourself with people who treat you with respect, love, and care. It means you are choosing to protect your emotional health and to build a life that is free of negativity and toxicity. But here's the hard truth. Letting go isn't just about removing toxic people from your life. It's also about letting go of the emotional attachment, the guilt, the self-doubt, and the shame that come with it. Toxic people often try to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, for walking away, for choosing yourself. They will accuse you of being selfish, of being a bad friend, a bad partner, a bad family member. But guess what? It's not selfish to protect your peace. It's not selfish to prioritize your mental health and emotional well-being. It's not selfish to say no to people who constantly hurt you. And here's the kicker: the more you hold on to toxic people out of guilt or obligation, the more they drain you, the more they take from you, and the less room you have for the people who genuinely care about you and support you. By letting go, you are creating space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. You are allowing yourself the opportunity to grow, to thrive, and to become the best version of yourself. And when you do that, you will attract the right people into your life. You need to remember something crucial. You don't have to explain yourself when you decide to walk away from someone. You don't owe them an explanation, an apology, or a justification. Your decision to cut ties with a toxic person is personal. It's your life, your peace, your happiness. You don't have to explain to anyone why you're choosing to let go. If they respect you, they'll understand. If they don't, then that's just another sign that your decision was the right one. Now, letting go doesn't always mean cutting someone off completely, though it can. Sometimes it means establishing distance, creating emotional boundaries, and choosing not to engage in the toxic dynamics. It means accepting that they will not change, and that's okay. You don't need them to change to move forward in your life. Your healing is not dependent on their transformation. And let me tell you something, the moment you choose to let go, you will feel lighter. You will feel a weight lifted off your shoulders. You will begin to notice that you have more energy, more clarity, more joy, and more space to focus on the things that matter. Your self-worth will begin to rise and your confidence will grow. You will find yourself surrounded by people who truly value you, who see you for who you are, and who support you in your journey. And that, my friends, is worth more than any relationship or person that is draining you. When you finally let go, you will realize that freedom isn't just about physical distance, it's about emotional liberation. It's about giving yourself the permission to live a life that is aligned with your values and your vision for your future. You will no longer be shackled by the toxic behaviors and manipulation of people who never deserved your time or energy in the first place. And here's the most powerful truth of all. Letting go is not an act of defeat, it is an act of strength. It takes courage to walk away from what no longer serves you. It takes strength to choose your happiness over someone else's drama. It takes power to say, I'm done, and move forward with your life. You don't have to wait for them to change. You don't have to wait for them to apologize. You don't have to wait for them to come around. You are allowed to let go at any time on your terms and on your timeline. When you choose to let go, you are not losing anything, you are gaining everything.